out of your area.
Yeah, this is our turf, man.
Heard him. Kill him.
Gentlemen, the streets are full of degenerates, killing each other indiscriminately. Arrest them. Your guys aren't pussies, are they, Stearns?
Chief?
I want some arrests, felony arrests, and a couple of bodies on slabs in the morgue. They can be your guys' bodies or some of that trash up there. Get that?
What's going on, good people? This is Kareem Paranda coming at you once again. And when I had to show this video because I saw this movie the other night and I hadn't seen it in so long. Death Wish 3. And I actually showed it to my children because I wanted them to see some of the content that I grew up watching back in the 80s, man. I'm an 80s baby, so you know it's a bit dated and it's kind of weird, you know, watching some of the thug behavior that these producers or directors perceived back then. And so they painted the picture in Death Wish 3 of these vigilantes, these hood dudes just going around and just targeting innocent people for no reason, man. Just being really malicious and beating them up, robbing them, taking whatever they want and things of that nature. Just straight violating people. Back in the day, they made about 5 of these movies. Have you noticed any particular theme in all of the covers that I showed? That's right. They all got guns in them. They all got guns in them. And so back in the 80s, man, obviously I wasn't intelligent enough to realize this, but Charles Bronson played a major part in why I became a police officer. Some of the stuff that I saw in these movies, man, it's just not Charles Bronson movies. It was like Claude Van Damme, Chuck Norris, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone. A lot of those movies that those guys were featured in, man, showed them single-handedly kicking everybody's ass that did something out of bounds, man, that violated the moral code of whatever the community understood as a standard of decency. These movies glorified enforcement. They glorified a violent stance towards the adversary or the bad guy. And, the bad guy he was multicultural in these movies. He was Puerto Rican, he was white, he was black, but he had a common behavior. The common behavior was violating other people's life or their quality of living. This bad guy would rob, he'd steal, he'd rape, he'd injure, he'd assault, he'd kill, and he'd do this in a way that was rather nonchalant. And so when we look at these particular themes, right, that are presented to us in the media, we also have to measure it and ask ourselves, is this in fact some type of social conditioning that impacts or influences our subconscious understanding of the world around us? Because, when I measure this, right, I measure this according to the training that we received in BLET when I was a police officer. And we always trained to address the threats created by the bad guy. And, Charles Bronson plays a badass in this movie. He ain't no police officer, but yet he walk around like he owned the damn town and shit. And he go around addressing the bad guys. And the community celebrates. They celebrate his ability to execute the bad guys who are causing so much problems as it relates to their quality of life. Now, I made a video a while back about perspectives, right? And the idea of the hip-hop culture and trap music and things that sort of influence our young folks to adopt a behavior or a mentality that allows them to be safe in certain environments, yet counterproductive to a prosperous future, because you live fast, die young. I know the street codes and the lingos associated with that street life, especially if you ain't about it. You're just setting yourself up to fail, either by the hands of somebody else's gun or the prison system, aka the real trap. That trap music and trap houses and trap behavior set you up for. I don't want to get off on a tangent here because I can surely go for a long time on this topic and many others, and there's so many different ways I could spin the content in this particular video, but I want to try to stay on track here because much of this stuff I talk about in my book that's forthcoming, Breaking the Code of Silence, A Cop's Journey to triumph in truth. And one of my agendas for disclosing a lot of this information is so that police officers and the public can understand that there's a subconscious and subliminal rationale that guides behavior. On one aspect, it's how the officer does his job, how the officer perceives threats associated with this training and societal messages. And on the community side, it's how we mimic and how we imitate some of the things that we see in order for us to be accepted, to remain safe in certain communities as it relates to mainstream societal narratives. Please like or subscribe to my channel so that you can stay up to date with the content that I release. And like me on Facebook, like me on Twitter, Instagram at Selftalk CC. If you know anyone struggling with mental health or substance abuse challenges, please, I would encourage you to reach out to a therapist or a licensed clinician who specializes in those areas. You can also visit www.selftalkcounseling.com to find out about the services we offer. Let's try to work together to make change. We can't do it by ourselves, but together we can. Peace.